Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 8th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But I don't want to drink. Okay, now, the reality is the tools that I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of others with varying degrees of success. Now, today we're going to be looking at spirituality and its impact on society. But before we get into that, we are going to look up here, and we have Wu is in with the gold. How's it going, Wu? And what we look at that. And he goes, took a picture of sunset. So happens in the middle of the photo looks like a black triangle. Now, for those of you that are not aware, assuming, like I haven't looked at the picture, but assuming that picture is a black triangle, that would be a consortium ship. And we'll get to that down the road. Probably not too much today, but that's okay. Now, scroll down and we have Joe. You are in with the silver today. Oh, and this is the thing. Joe's just letting us know he spotted somebody sent him a message that there was a problem with his PayPal account. He doesn't have one. Okay, now for the spiritual guides to have this amount of garbage going on, this amount of scam work going on, and it's not just PayPal. This is across the board. Okay, with the number of people that are going and following a spiritual leader, you'd think some of them would get the message that this is not acceptable behavior. But Joe, really happy you deleted it right away. Ultimately it boils down to this. When I get a email like that, I do have a PayPal account. But never, ever, ever, ever hit a hot link on anything that you don't know exactly where it's coming from. In the case of an email of a PayPal account, it says there's a problem with your PayPal account. I've got a PayPal. So what I do is the exact same thing that Joe did. I delete the warning, and then I immediately go to my PayPal account via normal access routes and double check. Okay, but you never access a hot link. Okay, even if it's coming from your bank, I would recommend. You've got access to your bank. If you're online, you've got access to your bank anyway. So go in and check it through standard means, not through the hot links, even on the registered, on the recognizable accounts. I just personally recommend against it. Now, you can do what you will with it. Now, we have Storm in the house. And, Storm is handling all of the backlog, all of the complications that we have. Okay, so again, if there is a problem with security, if Storm says, no, you've played enough, you're going. Storm and Lynanne are the only ones that can actually sort that out. Don't even bother me with it, because I've already told them, if it's a problem, I don't want to know about it. I got enough of my own. And LA Moon, how you doing, LA? Really appreciate the talk this afternoon. One thing I want to make very clear. When I said I was having trouble looking forward to the trip, it's not trouble looking forward to coming down and seeing you guys. It's trouble looking forward to the travel. Because I know every time I turn around, if it can be a problem, there usually will be one. And with the way my world's been going, let's face it, stress runs right high. Preacher, how you doing? Glad you could make it. So I do trust things are going well on your end. Now, that said, let's get on with the other side of this. When you're looking at the world, everything starts up here. Your spiritual world starts in the upper realms. Now, the people that are claiming to be spiritual guides, are you, after listening to them, are you coming away from a talk with them feeling a little better, or are you feeling a little more dejected, i.e., oh, we're all going to die and the world's going into a terrible disarray? Guess who you look to? The spiritual people. Who is that? Oh, dear. Now, you look at them, and if they're telling you the world is going, we're going into all this terrible thing, and by the way, God's going to come down and straighten it out. Take a look at the mess. Now, for about, as near as I can figure, about 7,000 years, the religious leaders have done the same thing. And I'm talking all the way back to Egypt, 5,000 years BC. For 7,000 years, these people have all been saying the same thing. God's going to come down and fix it. Now, I don't know. Maybe he's got a response time like some people I know. But I'm looking at it going, if it takes you 7,000 years, I'm not waiting that much longer. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. Now, you can follow what I'm suggesting, or you can continue doing what's been working so well. Let's take a look at that sarcastic side. That so well. You can keep following that path. But that's kind of like banging your head against the wall. Okay, at least in my eyes. It hasn't worked thus far. I'm thinking you might want to get off your tail feathers and waiting for the great white horse. Okay, let's look at the elephant in the room. Okay, now that's a much more entertaining picture, especially with the small apartment. Although I will tell you, I saw a video of an elephant. I kid you not. You take a look at the top of my water bottle here. I saw a video of an elephant. Could have been photoshopped, I agree. The elephant stood that tall. Now I'm thinking there was something wrong with his genetics. But the spiritual leaders are the first ones to get their hands on you, to be honest with you. And that includes with parenting. Many, many, many parents, and nothing against them. Okay, you gotta remember, parents were taught the path of spirituality by the spiritual leaders, by whoever was running the church, the coven, the temple. Get the picture. Okay. No, I'm not going very far, guys. Just dawned on me. The reality of it is this. When we look at spirituality, whatever people are saying, and like I said, this has been going on for at least 7,000 years. Now, I can tell you from my own memories, we're looking at 50,000. Okay, where they've been saying the same thing. Now, maybe I'm missing something here. What have we got here? Oh, here we go. Yeah. LA's going, stop looking for the negative and start looking for the positive. It's less of a job. That's the problem. That's the problem. And like I said, I'm going through the same thing many of you are. Okay. And when you're getting hit all the time, or virtually all the time, by negative things that are literally threatening your livelihood or threatening your survival, gets a little hard looking at the positive things on occasion. I will tell you though, in spite of everything I'm going through, okay, here's the thing that keeps me going. Specifically, the faith that Storm and Lynn Ann have in what I'm doing, the faith that my other half has in what I'm doing, and the faith and support that you guys have in what I'm doing. This is what keeps me going with this stream. This is what keeps me struggling to get positive perspectives up and running. Okay. And the secondary thing is I take a look at my physical health. My mental health is a bit of a shambles. Okay. But my physical health couldn't be much better. What if I right here? What did I do here? Yeah, this afternoon, after going through a whole pile of stress, my blood pressure was literally 129 over 79. My pulse was only 83. Now understand, I'm 61 right now. That's the blood pressure that they told me they wanted me to have when I was in my mid-40s. I didn't have it then, by the way. I'm also quite happy to say, as of yesterday, I had dropped my weight. I'd dropped down to 189. Now, I was aiming at breaking the 190. Now the trick is to start whittling away from that and get it down to the 180. Going to be a bit of a challenge, this I know, but at least I'm losing it because I'm choosing to, not because I'm ill. Now, the thing is, when I talk about using the methods that I talk about, it's because I know they work. It's not because they're perfect. Now, if your community spiritual leaders are telling you that one group of people is better than another, they missed the boat. Okay, they missed the boat entirely. Because every one of you, no matter what your race, your color, your orientation, doesn't matter the length or style of your hair. And there are so many people that are claiming to be spiritualists that are going, oh, your hair is wrong, you're going to go to hell. No, rest assured, you go to hell, get too close to the fires, you're all bald. Okay, but what we got to realize here is you're supposed to look, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're going to go and listen to somebody trying to guide you on a spiritual path, does it not make sense that you should be feeling a little better when you walk out of there than you were when you walked in? I'm just thinking it's just the way I look at the world. And we're not going to get into the negative side of what I see. Because rest assured, that could be a nightmare. But what we have to look at is this. The world that we've got, when we start focusing on the positive, and this is where I agree wholeheartedly with LA, you look for the positive. When you look at somebody, they run a car by accident into the side of a building. And I came into a bank one day, they'd literally done that. Okay. And there is a bright side to it. They hit the wall of the building, not the people that were beside it. But ask yourself, when you look outside, what's the first thing you see? Like when you look out your window, what's the first thing you see? The plants growing or the smog in the air? Okay, hopefully the answer is you're seeing the plants growing. Okay, but I know there are some people at some places where you open the window up and all you're seeing is gray. Now we have Eric, and I don't think I said that. We have Wooing with gold. We had Joey with the silver, and Eric is in with the bronze. Oh, there we are. I'm just looking. I gotta move that over here. My camera's on this screen. The easier reading is over there. Oh, I'm glad to hear that help there, Joe. There's nothing wrong with going to church. It provides a sense of brotherhood for many people. Okay. You know, the nice part there is if you find people, even if it's the community and not the leader, that brings you a sense of peace, a sense of camaraderie, it's a good setup. Okay, it really is. And this is why I say, absolutely, turn your attention to the things that help you feel better. Okay, if you're coming away feeling terrible about it, there's a problem. Now, I will tell you, I'm not about to, much as I won't be closing this down. Okay, it's literally because of you guys that I won't be closing it down. But what I can tell you is the way that we look at the world from a spiritual standpoint has a massive impact on the way that the world operates. We know this because much as the religious leaders right now are telling you we're supposed to get along, I'll tell you, from my understanding, 80% of the wars that are taking place are grounded in religion or in spiritual belief of one form or another. Okay, this is just categorically, it's missing the mark. And this is why, if you're sitting there and you're listening to your guide, and they say something like, I heard one day, I kid you not, I was in a church, and to start with, I didn't mind the people standing up. I'm not going to tell you what church, but you figure this one out. Okay, I listen to them now. I got no problem with people raising your hands. But I kid you not, this group stood there, and after the sermon went, and I quote, all those that do not believe in one God are subhuman and should be treated as such. Now, this is what I heard a pastor say. I'm not going to tell you which one. And I just thought about it. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that. One thing you got to remember. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. One thing you got to remember. I'm a firm believer that everybody on the planet is equal. But these guys all jumped, all of the entire congregation stood up and they didn't raise their hands this way. They didn't start singing like this and waving back and forth. They held one hand out, the other one by their side, and they started singing. Now, I don't know about you, but there's just something wrong there. You want to stand up, you want to do the jig while you're dancing in church, have a happy. Okay. The primary reason I don't dance at all is because of one little itty bitty kink. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step floor. Not happy with leg dislocating. The preacher goes, that's why I left the church I was born into. I didn't feel like I belonged and never felt better after. Where are we? Other than being glad it was over for the week. Yeah, no doubt. I've seen so many people turn away because of the teachings in their given spiritual path. Now, if your spiritual leaders are doing things that are turning people away, there might be a problem here. Okay. It's like if somebody takes over a business and their behavior all of a sudden is driving the staff and the customers out the door. There's something wrong with the message. Now, for me, it's simple. Okay. 3 laws I follow. Okay. And I recommend all of you follow these 3. But keep your eyes open, follow the ones you will. But check all the ones you're following. Okay. Compare them to these 3. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Now, if you take a look at any laws you follow, whether they're commandments from a church, they're guidelines from a temple, their belief structures from a coven, doesn't matter. Maybe we're talking about the guidelines from a support crew like AA or NA, okay, or even household responsibilities. Compare them to those three. I do believe you'll find all of yours fit into the three that I follow. Now, the neat part, and I cannot prove this, we're going to die today. Again. I will tell you, on the first set of tablets that were brought down, those were the only three laws. Now, can I prove it? Not a prayer. Do I expect you to believe it at face value? Not a prayer. But I will tell you, if you have me Christian, which by the way I am, okay, go to Exodus chapter 1 or chapter 2. I don't recall which. You'll find the write-up on when the tablets came down. Okay, and Moses shattered them before he even showed them to Aaron, his brother. Now, your spirit, whatever spiritual path you're on, whatever spiritual path you're supporting and saying this is the right one, are you leaving people feeling better about themselves and more enthusiastic about the future? Or are you making them feel like they are less of an individual and unworthy of support? What is the outcome of your behavior? That's what you got to look at. Okay, or what I recommend you look at is more to the point. Now, what do we got here? Simon, I missed you coming in. How you doing? And did I miss something here? Joe, well, I keep screwing something up here. Gives you an idea of my day. Joe came in with silver. Eric came in. Preacher came in with the bronze. And that means, who was it here? That means, scroll down just a fraction. And Cowie came in with honorable mention. But Simon, I am so glad you managed to arrive. Oh, there we go. And like I said, guys, I'm just reading what LA put. LA goes, woo. If you'd like, we'll put your link in. We'll promote interesting and positive stuff. Absolutely. And this is what I tell with why I said LA Moon and Storm have the go-ahead on that. They know what we're striving to do here. And I'll tell you, they are absolutely phenomenal. Even when I run into a hiccup, like I did today, you have no idea what kind of a nightmare that was today. But if they give the go-ahead on a link, absolutely take them up on it. Hey, what do we got? And we have Straight Edge Jen. How you doing? Oh, I love this. Straight Edge Jen is going, school administrators here, church is inside our souls. Be good to others, do right by others, serve others, take ownership of mistakes, change your ways to improve yourself and the world. Straight Edge, I really couldn't put that better. I don't think, anyway. Oh, Simon, absolutely. That's why I keep going back up. Simon Likeable's asking, could you explain energy out, energy in, please? Absolutely. Okay. What we're talking about there is whatever you put your effort into. Like, for instance, I've got a mess in my office here. Okay. So what I've got to do is I've got to go, okay, I'm going to put the energy into straightening this out. Okay. Where did I put my articles? Got a whole bunch of writing I've been doing. I really have to get on top of it. But All of these are handwritten articles that are going to get posted, either in positive perspectives or on Facebook or both. Okay, but what I did was I wrote them all out, and then I had to put the effort into writing them. Then I put the effort into actually getting them transcribed so they're on the computer. Now I have to put the effort into putting them up online. When you're putting effort into something, that's what you're going to get back. Now, there is a North American Indian belief structure that goes, and I'm paraphrasing. Okay, there is a bear there is a wolf in everybody's body. There is one that is just pure malevolence, pure anger, vicious self-centeredness, and one that is very loving, one that is really helpful. And when asked which one wins the fight, the answer is simple: the one you feed. Okay, picture, if you will, having two dogs at home, and only picture this. Never do this. Okay, picture what happens if you got two dogs at home that are always struggling. Okay, they're always creating an interesting complication. If you don't feed one of them, they'll die. If you don't water a plant, it'll die. If you don't feed your soul with positive things, you too will wither and die. And that is the second consistency. Okay, the biggest consistency in the world is change is the one guaranteed thing to happen. Okay, now I will tell you, every one of you is going to die sooner or later. The real trick to it is some of us get a few more runs at it. And I'll tell you, talk about feeling like a failure in a bit of a tongue-in-cheek way. I have clinically died 4 times before I was 10, 5 more since I was 10, and a 10th one that I'm not entirely certain if I made it across. Now, the reason I say that's a failure, 10 runs at getting home, and they keep shipping me back. I'm doing something wrong, or I'm doing something right. And from what I'm gathering from you guys, I'm doing something reasonably right. And rest assured, the reason I say do what I'm telling you because I know it works is because even with my life having gone to an absolute tangle, okay, even with that, I can see these events. I talk to enough people to know they work. Okay, and this is why I know the path that Simon started on yesterday is going to work. Okay, the nice little part about it is when you put effort, when you put energy into something, it's going to grow. Okay, probably not as fast as you'd like, sometimes faster than you'd like. And this is why, especially when we look at the weather out there. Now, I don't know what it's like where you guys are. I know down in the southern states and up here in the Okanagan Valley in Canada, it is hotter than Hades. And anybody is stupid enough to pitch a lit cigarette out a window, you're asking for a forest fire. Okay, you're just asking for it. So I'm begging you, do not. And, smokers are the only ones that throw cigarette butts out the window. Okay, so I'm asking you, absolutely, take a can and take a jar with water. Okay, put your cigarette butts in that. Okay, enough of this throwing them out the window. We're going into a hot summer. In case you haven't figured out, I'm no weather forecaster. I simply walk out the front door and go, okay, I'm going to pass out because of the heat. This tells me it's warm. But whatever it is you're putting your mind to, whatever you're putting your energy into, that's the energy out. That's what's going to come back. Think of it this way. If you're on a trampoline and you just bend your knees and you put a little bit of effort, okay, you're going to bounce back up a little. You keep doing that, you'll bounce higher and higher. My arm only goes so far. What you're putting your effort into, that's what you're going to get. Okay? If you go out and you are simply smiling at people and saying hi to them, that's what's going to come back to you. Not every time. As a matter of fact, I remember walking by a guy one day and I told him, I said, good morning to you. He says, what's so good about it? I'm like, okay. The other one, I heard somebody says, have a good day. Tell me what kind of day to have. Okay, how about we try walking traffic? I look at it going, take a look at the intention behind what you're doing. Now, one of the weirdest setups I ever ran into, okay, where it comes to some of my writing, is this. This book here, I took it down to the First Nations head office in Kelowna here. This is a book, and it's a children's book, literally called Mr. Dreamcatcher. I took it down there, let them take a look at it, and I kid you not, these people looked at it and went, that's the best rendition of that story we've ever read. But because you're not First Nations, we can't work with it. Now, to me, if this is the best thing you've got available, why would you care where it comes from? And yes, I already went through the discussion with some people about it's what they're claiming is their heritage. Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm proud of my heritage, I'm going to pass it on. Now, I don't know if I'm overly proud of the way I grew up. I know I'm very proud of the way my parents taught me. Okay. But the issue of spending so much time off-world to the point that I do not relate to the people here well, not entirely proud of it, but it is what we're working with. Oh, do I have that book open? No. I think I closed it down. And now I know I closed it down. What's that? Nope. Okay, well, we're not going to look for that. Anyway, when we take a look at what your life is like, if you're, there's a song that goes, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Well, put a twist on that, because apparently clapping is simply slapping yourself because you're happy. Okay. Now, I'm not entirely certain I agree with that, but it does make for an interesting idea. Now, scroll down here again. Now, one of the important factors here, and I've apologized already, so I'm not going that way very far. Still trying to get things tied together. One of the biggest things that we're looking at right now is what is apparently being taught in the spiritual lines, in the schools, in the political arena, in society across the flaming board, is not how to unify. It's how to segregate. This is going completely against what they're trying to tell you. We need to come together. We need to help each other. Let's find another thing that'll separate you. So I'm going to solve a whole lot of hassles and a whole lot of degradation so we can work towards putting it back together. We got roughly 8 billion people on the planet. And that's only relating to humans and or humanoid. Roughly 8 billion. To that effect, because none of you are identical. Not one of you think absolutely alike. So let's cut to the chase. We have just over 8 billion belief structures and 8 billion genders, because you don't all think alike. Okay, you don't all behave alike. And I'll guarantee you don't all look alike. although there are some exceptions. But there are always differences. So since we've already got 8 billion genders, does everybody want their own bathroom? Get your own house or your own apartment. Yeah, LA's going. We do have a free newsletter available through the Buy Me Coffee link above. Free, and no, we don't say. I never sell any emails. Heck, I won't tell people what your name is half the time. Okay, which is why when you've got a name in the chat room, that's what I go with. And Joe just adding for us. Thinking of the dreams I've been having lately, every morning I've noticed they've been repeating themselves. I've noticed that did my research on past dreams in my journal. Oh, that ought to be entertaining. I'm sure you'll find all sorts of things that come together there. Yeah, as we know, Preacher, Preacher apparently has been reading the writings of Manly P. Hall when it comes to spiritual and occult knowledge. Well, I'll tell you, I'm very, very poorly read. Preacher and I have had that discussion before. Absolutely. I've yet to hear him lead people astray. So take a look at it. If you like what the man has to say, absolutely. In your mind, because obviously if you're reading a physical book, giving a thumbs up only goes so far. But what we're looking at is find a way to find something fun, to lock on to something positive. And yes, in case you haven't figured out, I'm going through a staggering amount of water right about now. But the purpose, when you take a look at spiritual teaching, take a look at the hub of almost any community. It will be a coven, a temple, a church. Okay. Now, hopefully and I know we have become here at Positive Perceptions, we've become a bit of a hub on a global level. Very small following at this point, but it's not the numbers that matter. It's the impact. Okay. I mean, let's face it. The size of the impact or the size of the package is a whole lot different than the impact point. And the thing you've got to, and I would strongly recommend you do, is look at what your community leaders are. Are they behaving in the same way they're talking about? Okay. Now I know where it comes to the finances, the people that are deciding on what money is available. These people do not live at the level that people struggling live at. Okay. They just don't. And as was pointed out to me today, it takes a certain amount of genius if you're struggling to survive day to day to just keep a roof over your head and even periodically put a smile on your face. And rest assured, there are days that I've been tempted to find a little bit of paint and put a smile on mine, because there are days when I just don't feel that. One of the things that we got to look at here is that whatever you're thinking of, whatever you desire to see change in your life, you're the one that's got to get off your tail feathers. Now, I remember 2 days ago, I gave you less than a 7-second tool to get started on your new life. This is your job, not mine. All I do is go, here's the tools. Okay, that's all I do, is turn around and go, this is what I'm doing to keep ahead. Now, here's the thing. I ran into one heck of a bottom out today. Okay. I had a real bottom out today, and it was because of talking to LA Moon that I managed to get my feet back on the ground well enough to get back in front of the camera. Because I'll tell you, there are days that is rough. In case you hadn't noticed, yes, I call it positive perspectives, positive perceptions. I am not perfect by any functional stretch. Okay. And this is why I say what I'm telling you works. It doesn't mean I manage to follow it all the time. But one way or the other, I will end up getting my feet on the ground. One way or the other, so will you. As we already know, everything travels in cycles. You'll have your ups, you'll have your downs. Okay. The trick is this: while you're on the upswing, enjoy it. While you're on the downswing, remember the height that you had gotten to. Because once you get there the first time, and this has been laid out for me multiple times. Christine, how you doing? Of course, now I'm curious. I'm glad you dropped in, but now I'm curious. What prank are you cooking? Okay, maybe that's just plain nosy. But again, it boils down to everything we're doing. Like, we've got this stream going on, and it took me 2 years to get it sorted around in my own head that, that what we had to do was find a formula. So what we've got is spirituality, we've got UFOs and alien cultures and what have you, and we've got self-help. Those three are going to be interwoven. With that in mind, like right now we're looking at society, and here's the thing: if the leader of your community hub is saying anything, I don't care. From my standpoint, when they open a book and read out of it and take a passage out of a book and say, this is evil, okay, whatever they're promoting, okay, it's a question of what message they pass, okay. Now, I can tell you this: things can be taken out of context. Absolutely, they can. But when your guide is telling you, like for instance, that one church where the pastor said, and this is not every one of this denomination, it was this specific pastor, and he goes, everyone that does not believe in one God is subhuman and should be treated as such. That pastor, in my opinion, needed to be relieved. He needed to be removed from the position, because that's hate mongering. Okay, that's fear mongering. The moment people isolate things into one group of people, whatever they are, okay, whatever the segregation is, whether it is a gender, a belief structure, a dress style, doesn't matter. All people count. All people's all people's livelihood, life, prosperity, happiness, it all matters. But we cannot have that happen if people keep continuing to walk on each other. Yeah, Simon goes, bad religions miss the meaning and focus on the words. That's a good way to put it, Simon. That really is. When you're looking at the meaning behind the words, and that, by the way, is backed up by actions. Okay, this is why I wrote a poem a long time ago called Words and Emotions, right? And literally it starts off with, words are simply labels for emotions that we feel. And somewhere around here, I've got that poem. But what we have to look at is we've got to take a look at what message you as an individual are passing on. I know I'm sitting here going, there's a lot wrong with the world, but there's way more right with it. I mean, you think about it. You have in this country, and I mean, Canada and the US are essentially the same. They really are. And a lot of people, make claims about one country or the other. I'm telling you, I've been in both. I've talked to people from both. And rest assured, there are some absolute gems out there in both countries. Now, I can only speak directly for Canada and the US. I've never been to the rest of your countries. I'm betting, though, that there are people there that do absolutely brilliant things, make absolutely brilliant comments, and others that are just completely lost. Okay, it's one of those things that make people that bring people together. Bob, how you doing? Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. Now, the one, like I've told everybody here, Bob, and I don't know if you've listened in before, I'm absolutely Christian. Absolutely believing God and Christ. However, on this channel, I don't go into specifics on for a lot of reasons. Okay, an awful lot of reasons, not the least of which is if anybody in this chat room makes one wrong move on that note, somebody in YouTube Central is going to shut this down. That's why we don't talk about religions on the whole as a specific. Not that I've got any objection about religions on the whole as far as specifics go. Okay. Oh, there we go. Now, anything you're aiming at building, I'm building an empire. And I shouldn't say I. We are building an empire. Okay, that we being myself, yes, I'm spearheading the whole dang thing. But here's the kicker. It's the people around me and you guys in particular, because you're in the chat room. You guys in particular, whether you're in the chat room or whether you're listening to this afterwards, you're invited. Anybody that I can take with me to the top, we're all going. They tell me it's lonely at the top. Now, I will tell you, I've spoken directly to what I call God. He ain't that lonely up there. But then he doesn't look down on anybody. Well, aside from the fact he's up there. Thing is, I don't care where anybody comes from. What your past is up to you. How you behave towards other people. That's the thing I look at. Okay. Now I've got friends from every religion available. Matter of fact, I got a kick out of it since we brought up the issue of Satan. I got a kick out of this one. Okay. A chap I know, his parents were from two different religions. Both of them went, we don't want to choose your religion for you. Go out and find your own. The chap went out and studied demonology. Okay. Now, who you worship, who you pray to, who you get your emotional and spiritual support from, that's up to you. How you portray that in the rest of the world or to the rest of the world, that is also up to you. And that is why one of the rules at the top of the list here is you don't say and you don't point to anybody's belief structure and go, that's a worse belief structure. Because I will tell you, okay, I've researched a lot of the different religions and spiritual paths. Christianity, Judaism, the Muslim faith, and I don't know what it is. Oh, the Hindu faith. There we go. Okay. Many of the Wiccan practices, they, when I take a look at even the agnostic people, everybody is teaching literally the same thing. You're all teaching the same thing. So what title you use, I don't care. Okay. This is why I refuse to look at one religion and say it's better or it's worse. Okay. Every Christian and every religion has had its dark moments. Okay. Every one of them has. Every society out there has had its trials, its tribulations. Some of them have successfully recovered. Most have faltered. Now, what do we got here?
Mr. Smith has been removed from the chat
I
due to his exuberance and trying to express his religious views with such fervor.
Yeah. And this is why I appreciate you leaving him sit long enough to actually point it out. And the explanation and storm. I really do. Because the reality is there's not a one of them out there. There's not a spiritual path out there that is better than the next. And the one thing I will say in parting here, for a unified religion, having somebody have 45,000 denominations might make me question the term of unified. I look at it this way. I have one belief structure, and that's the only one I've got. Okay. It is the one I follow, period. And, the reality is, for those of you that are listening and have seen this, and presumably Bob can still listen in. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, this is to be a safe place for everybody. Okay. Now, one of the things we have to realize, we can go with the past teachings. Okay, you think about it. Past teachings led to the Black Plague. Okay, and I'm not kidding you on that one. I was there. Okay, I don't know what it says in the history books. Somebody else gets to read that. But the way we were taught led to that problem.
That was me hiding him. Don't worry about it.
Oh, not a problem. The nice part about it is, the only people that could be hiding him would be you, LA, or Nathan. Or I guess technically, if I could figure out how to do it, I could do it. I think I might have a problem there. But people are absolutely, whatever. I mean, let's face it. One of my closest supporters, and they get to figure and they get to determine if they're going to say anything. One of the closest of the people that has really come to my band to back me up and go, okay, what you're doing works this way. Okay, they come from the weirdest position on the planet regarding my past, and I'll tell you, it's refreshing to have that kind of thing. One of the things we have to realize is not like nobody is the same, and it takes all of us to mix and get together. Oh, okay, Simon. I'm bringing that out here. That I can do for you, and then rest assured, it actually falls under the odd point of being a spiritual path anyway. Now, whoop, I need the other one. Okay. Now we got to go back a fair piece in history. I won't take too long on it. But the crystal Simon is referring to is this little crystal here. Now the backbone behind this is when I was in grade 2. Okay. There was a young lass, and I'm not going to tell you her name. Okay. There was a young lass. I was in grade 2, so I'm like 7, 8 years old. Okay. And this little girl used to blow kisses to us. And, when we were on the bus, she'd blow kisses as we were leaving on the bus. Well, time goes on. No, we were not boyfriend and girlfriend. In all fairness, I didn't even remember much of that. I have no idea what that means. Oh, that's because it comes from before. Now, here's the neat little thing. I'll go back and catch up on these other comments in a minute. This crystal, we grew up, we were military, so she got transferred, or more to the point, your parents got transferred way back east. Now, I was just graduating when my dad went out east, and he was going to meet to catch up with this girl's father, family friends. Well, she come from another city to her father's place, gives him this crystal, and says, please make sure this gets to Keith. So Dad brought it home, gave it to me. Now, I popped that in my pocket. I had it with me for years. About 20 years later, I end up with this little crystal. Now, this is moldavite. Okay. The only gem quality crystal that I know of from outer space. So, I put this one in my left pocket, this one in my right pocket. Now, we've discussed the fact that I've got a bad leg. Okay. Put these two in my pocket. Leg quit having problems. It worked great for years. About 7 years ago. Okay. And like I said, I keep them in my pocket. Okay. About 7 years ago, this one went missing. Okay. Now, I cleaned my room. I flipped the bed over a couple of times in 7 years. This went missing 7 years ago. About 6 months after it went missing, I had a stroke. Okay. Now, I've shown you my hand. I've shown you guys my hand before. Now, this time I'm going to have to focus to make it happen. But it used to shake this badly. Okay. 7 years ago, I lost it. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, this showed up in the middle of the floor under my bed. Way too big to miss when you're vacuuming. Way too big. Pop it back in my pocket. 2 days later, legs not buckling on me, hands no longer shaking on me, and my emotions are a little bit more stable. Rest assured, that doesn't mean they're perfect. But this is why I call this thing a healing crystal. And for those of you that can't really tell, it's a combination of smoky and clear. But ultimately, that is what the crystal's all about. Now, what do we got here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's just giving us the history behind why spirituality literally caused the Black Plague. Well, more to the point, it set the stage for it. Obviously, the fleas on the rats caused the problem. Okay, but it's because people were taught cats were the minions of Satan. Funny part about it, cats were never domesticated, in my opinion. Dogs were domesticated. Cats, they move in and tell you they're the owner. Just ask any one of them. Now, I'm presuming there, preacher, that Yersinia pestis is the name of the actual disease. It's kind of extrapolation, Simon, but knowing who she was, the answer to that is, yeah, I do feel she actually knew it. I'm certain that's why she was absolutely adamant. I get it. And to put that in perspective, guys, my dad was the superintendent of Sunday schools. This young lass was also a member of that parish. How's it going, Rachel? Glad you could join us. Yeah, what do we got here? Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that there, Ellie. Ellie's going, I think Eric's referring to the edict. You know, I simply like this side of it is beyond me most of the time. Yeah. Ellie goes, this is what bad leadership accomplishes. And absolutely, if you feel there's a message that's coming out sideways, absolutely ask. Now, even in here, absolutely, we do not push another person's belief structure by any functional stretch. Okay. But if you either don't understand something being said or you feel something's coming out a little backwards, absolutely, you're entitled to your opinion. I won't go into a lot of detail in much of it, but I do respond to private messages as best I can, providing they're done in a functional fashion. And rest assured, since I've already been called Satan himself, or the devil incarnate, or the spawn of the evil most, okay, I've already been called pretty much every name under the book. I'm not going to take offense to what people call me. The reality is I've been called a lot of things, some of them repeatable in polite company. Now, what we're looking at here is if your leaders are not leading you. Oh, heavens, yeah, Simon. Literally, everyone, where are we? This. In races of the world, every one of the religions in here have a belief structure. They all have a god and or gods that they worship. Okay. The thing with races of the world is it's a reference manual. And many of them believe in the same God. Many will call it God. Many will call it source. Many call it Nataj, the great Drake. What is it? Think it's the Great Pebble. I know the Great Spark is another one that is used. Where are the coordinates? Nope. Earth, there we are. 16. Oh, yes, of course. Doorknob. Where is I miss the earth? Water, fire. Earth comes before that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the cordon, earth elementals call it the Great Mother. Okay, many people on earth refer to God as God, source, the universe, any number of names. What do we got here? There we go. I love it with this. Preacher and I have known each other for a very long time. And it's kind of comical, but I can understand why he's got a scientific mind, as you can tell. But what he says is Yersinia pestis is a gram-negative, non-motile Coccobacillus bacterium without spores. He goes, I did a research paper on it when I was in college. See, I did real-life hands-on experience in it when I was living through the Black Plague. The neat part about it from my standpoint is we all have our experiences. They may not be the same, but I've found so many times that there are common roots. As you can see, guys, just a quick side note. The reason we have a small group is because problem children do not get encouraged to stick around. Absolutely, they are encouraged to come back in and listen and follow the rule and follow the guidelines at the top. Literally speaking, those are there for everybody. We actually have had situations where people that were already in positions had to be removed because these guidelines above are the same guidelines I live by. And if I'm going to live by them in my house, it only stands to reason they stay put. Yeah. Preacher goes, since way back in the old Minoan days, if not longer. Probably longer, I just haven't looked that far back. I will tell you though, Preacher, I had a much better view of that wall of water than you did. Or no, correction. I had a much safer view of that wall of water. You had a much closer view, but I'm thinking you'd have traded. Just a thought. Uh-oh. Here we go again. Somebody apologizing for doing their job. Yeah, and I'll explain that to you after chat there, Preacher. But yeah, we had somebody that they were warned and totally ignored it and decided to go off on an interesting tangent that put them somewhere else. But there is a place there's a place for everyone on this planet. There's a place for everyone in this room. Or more to the point, in relation to this room. People that won't follow the rules or that we find are bullying people will very quickly find themselves on the outside listening, watching the interaction, seeing the enjoyable support that comes through this place, and won't be able to pitch in and participate in it unless they bite their tongue. And then it's a question of, and this is all literally in Storm's hands. Okay, this is literally in Storm's hands. They get a warning. They get a little bit of a slap on the wrist if they push the limit when they come back in. And rest assured, if you change your name, Storm will find you. Okay, you could always take a look and call that a name out of a what was it now? It was Charlie's Angels. Okay, I watched the movie. They had a piece of technology called God's Eye. And what it literally boiled down to is it can hack any system. Now, I venture to say Storm probably can't hack any system. But if we take the axiom that in your own home, you are God. In this room, okay, in this stream, I'm God. Storm, in that case, is God's eye. In other words, he watches for the problem children, so I don't have to. Preacher goes, preacher goes, you have the bird's eye view, and I got the below sea level. Yeah, I was sitting up on top of the cliff, and it was funny when Preacher and I found this. Okay, I'm sitting up on top of the cliff when I watched the water come in. I watched it get yanked out of the docks, right, and then come back in. Problem was, Preacher was on the ground of the promenade. Not the best day for a walk, although it was a lot cooler than he was expecting. But at least what I got was just the refreshing spray. I'm not sure 800 million tons of water qualifies as refreshing. Oh, Simon, in my case, I'm not entirely certain how I got around to what the end of my life looked like. I lived through now. Just to put that in perspective for those of you who don't know, about Manoa. Okay, I can't give you a year, but Manoa was a wonderful civilization on the northern shore of Crete. Now, there was a volcano that went off by the name of Thera. Okay, and you can look in the history books for the dates. When it went off, I was living there. Now, I lived many years afterwards. I got the displeasure, if you will, of helping put things back together after society collapsed. In this case, it wasn't religion that did it. It wasn't poor guidance. It was literally an act of Isa, an act of God. Volcano blows up, Manoa goes away. And by the way, it wasn't the only community that went. It was just the biggest one. Yeah, Joga, what did we do? No, in my case, I cannot speak for a preacher. Preacher is more than welcome to let you know. In my case, Simon, I wake up remembering these things. Okay, I woke up remembering the pain I went through when my wife and 2 kids died during the Black Plague. During the Black Death. I woke up remembering my one trip onto the barbecue spit during the witch hunts. That was not an enjoyable memory, by the way. For me, I just go to sleep, I wake up, I've got all this information, and I'm going like, what the heck? But with that in mind, I've been documenting pretty much all of it. Oh, here we go. Joe Stewart goes, most of my experiences are paranormal. Coming this fall, that upstairs window is going to be looked out a lot. Yeah, it's gotta be. And I'm just thinking, Joe, it might be something for a short story somewhere along the way. Yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that, I think, somewhere down the road. Where are we here? This is my little planning notebook. What's that? Rituals, consortium, what is 9? It'll be a couple of months down the road, but I'm just adding it to my list. Yeah, that reminds me. We've got this one going on. Like I said, I do my best to keep things organized. Doesn't always work, but what the heck. Okay, I do have it in my list of topics to come up to. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The sad part is, Simon, I've got memories of that from childhood that were corroborated. Okay. Now, bear in mind, they were done in a very bizarre fashion. But I remember past lives that were just phenomenal. One of the worst ones where it comes to remembering killing people. It would have been about 100 AD when my commanding officer, I was in the Roman Legion, and my commanding officer told me he and the other the other 5 of my closest friends were going to abuse a young lady. Right. We'd just taken this city. They wanted to have their way with her. And they told me literally, because I told them I'm not going to have any part of it. You've got to let it go. Don't do this. I was told by my commanding officer, you stand outside and you make sure nobody disturbs us while we have our fun. Well, I stood outside the door and I heard this girl screaming for help. Well, I followed my commanding officer's order to the letter. These are guys that I had run with for 6 years. We fought back to back. We drank ourselves and drank each other under the table. It was a friendship that was absolutely, you fought to keep it alive. Okay. And what ended up happening was I stepped back into the room, right? And maybe 30 seconds later, my 6 closest friends were deceased. I can still feel the blade going through them at my own hand. And when you're looking at what's going on up here, that's what, preacher goes, preacher's just saying, he remembers that wall of water. 20 seconds between seeing the wall of water coming at me. Maybe 20 seconds. Because I remember when I saw it coming, I'm looking at this and it's like, this is not good. It's like, what did we do? Well, of course, I hit the deck. Now, I'm on the bluff over the water, over top of the city. I'm on the bluff when I watched this water come up. And I watched it hit. Now, I was thankfully not down below. I didn't get the bird's eye view of all the rubble and debris. And rest assured, a lot of that rubble and debris came from the boats that used to be in the docks or from the dock itself. The neat thing about it is as your memories come back, document them. Okay. I've documented 18 or 20 past lives. Okay. Now I will tell you, much as in the Elderbachian Chronicles, J.G. Wollstron, who is the prime protagonist in the Elderbachian Chronicles, I will tell you, he's not a past life of mine because he takes place down the road. He takes place in the future. But, where are we here? We've already gone, holy mackerel, we have already gone almost an hour and a half. And here's another neat little point about the little complication there. About 3, maybe 4 months back, we had a whole pile of people like him before Storm and LA took over. Okay, on the moderator side, we had about a half a dozen people that were disrupting the place, like this last one just did. Okay, the side effect at that point was I ended up having a heart attack after I dumped the stream and ended up having a heart attack. What do we got here? Yeah, the neat thing, and this is absolutely right, LA. When you're looking at dreams, so many people go, dreams are nothing. Well, here's the kicker. Some dreams are just distractions. Okay. Some dreams are literally just a way to unwind. Maybe you watched a horror movie and you're having dreams about the same movie. Maybe you were reading a really intense book and had a side effect. I tried playing a chaotic evil character in D&D, in Dungeons and Dragons. I had nightmares for 3 days afterwards. It's like, I'm not doing that again. Rachel, if you haven't done so already, write them down, even in point form. Okay, those dreams of past lives will help you accomplish what you're actually here for. And this is something to pay attention to. Simon, you were asked about this the other day. We're here to remember who we are. Your past lives hold some of that information. So by documenting them, you can turn around and go, okay, I remember doing that. I've got that capacity in me. Now, when I was a thief, clearly I've got the capacity. But I found a way of dealing with that where I could live with myself. And biting my lip is not the right way to do it. Now, this is where I take a break because I got to get more water.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back. Where are we here? Oh, okay, preacher. Thanks so much for dropping by. We really appreciate it. Oh, where are we here? Okay. Oh, that's one of those dreams that you really wish you didn't have. You know, LA's just talking about a dream. She goes, I have dreams of being a mom, in the Ohio Valley where the barges took people down the river. We were attacked by pirates. I remember hearing my children die. That's one of those sounds you never want to hear. It's funny. I spent a lot of time. I've had memories waking up, being barbecued, waking up, hanging. Well, literally, I remember waking up from a dream, and this is how my past lives usually come back into play. Well, let's see. I remember dying of a broken heart one day, and then I got the whole dream after the whole memory afterwards. Remember hanging on a cross. Remember hanging on in a prison, like in a castle wall, in a castle dungeon, just kind of hanging around. I remember being barbecued, I remember a friend of mine being electrocuted in front of my eyes. Now, in all fairness, that was a mistake. Like, they actually did try and save the kid. You know, I remember being run through Lord knows how many times, but all of my dreams did not start off in trauma. Some were phenomenal. I mean, I remember one dream, and we'll get back to this afterwards, but these all tie. This whole idea of past lives ties directly to the idea of those spiritual paths that believe in past life incarnations. Okay, and there's a number of religions and spiritual ways that believe in those. I'm one of them. Now, what do we got down here a little further? You know, one thing that you got to remember. Now, I did centuries back. As a matter of fact, when I first became a witch hunter, I became a warlock, working for the government during the witch hunts. And I used to believe wholeheartedly that witches were evil people. You know, that cats were evil creatures. I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. I remember standing on a street corner, absolutely inciting riots to overturn a government. This is a stupid move. If you don't believe me that overturning government is a bad idea, see if you can get a copy of Animal Farm. Okay, by George Orwell. See if you can get a copy and read it. Yeah, Joko, cemetery dreams can be weird. Well, they can. Do yourself a favor, Joe. Never remember waking up in one. I don't mean in the cemetery. Oh, Simon, that's a brilliant question. Simon goes, Simon Likeable goes, Keith, who decides our spiritual path? Is it our higher self, and then we send ourselves here to find it? Ultimately, you were given an option. Okay. And that is literally break yourself down. Okay. Oddly enough, I actually detail this in the Elderbachian Chronicles in book 1. But ultimately what happens is the human form, a corporeal form, will not hold the energy of your soul. So the soul breaks down. And the way it broke down to start with, it goes way beyond this, was into 2,048 component parts. Okay, now each one of those component parts breaks down into another 2048, all identical. Your job, everybody's spiritual path, is the exact same one. Go out and remember who and what you are. All of those component parts spread out across the third dimension. Okay, all of it. In various different life forms, sometimes humanoid, more often than not. Okay, that was really odd. And your whole spiritual path is to remember who and what you are. Before you come to this incarnation, you literally work out what major wisdom you desire to gain. Now, an obvious example, an obvious example of that search is of that contract. You make a commitment. You desire to gain wisdom around cancer. That's what you're coming here to gain. That's the big picture. Your actions, and do you set it all up so you're in the right lifeline to do it with the right connections through the people you'll meet. And then it's your actions, your behaviors, and your choices that determine whether you're going to gain that wisdom by suffering with cancer itself, or by dealing with people suffering with cancer. That becomes a decision made based on your actions once you're born. And yes, for those of you that are wondering about that, some people choose to come into this life to be abused. Some people choose to be abusive. Okay, every aspect you have is positive. There is a positive aspect and a negative one. Spirituality has the same thing. If it is handled correctly, a spiritual guide can lead your community into a phenomenally enjoyable world, or they can send you right down into the gutter. Okay, now the speed that people jumped on this upstart that we had today, that's the kind of community we're looking at building all across the world. That's the thing that I'm becoming, that I'm doing my best to become an anchor point for, a focal point for. I got no interest in being on a pedestal, none at all. But I did determine there's no way that I can light the way if I simply keep hinting at the problem. I have to come out of the shadow, turn on the spotlight pointed right at you and go, you desire your life to change. Get off your tail feathers. Now, a slightly more direct path that you can go. Some of us can get to the Akashic Records directly. The Akashic Records are the record of what your soul has been up to, of what you are capable of. Now, some of you will have the ability to get there. The rest of you will have to turn to a past life specialist, to somebody who knows how to get to the Akashic Records, and to talk to the caretakers thereof. The caretakers thereof, by the way, are none other than the Zerziks. Okay, that is one of the few races that survives one rendition of reality to the next, but they always stay in the same dimension. They always stay in the third dimension. By the way, guys, and before I go any further, I gotta say thank you very much for today. I came in here, I was really feeling under the weather, mentally speaking, and for that matter, emotionally and spiritually. But just coming in here has really helped turn that around for me. And we are apparently, well, that was probably a bit ago, yep. But Ellie's just letting us know we're on the 30-minute mark here. It is really rough to believe that went that fast. The reality there, Simon, I like the question. Simon goes, Keith, are you worried trying to make the world better? It interrupts someone else's choice to learn being awful. Absolutely not. In case you hadn't noticed out there are a staggering number of opportunities for being awful to people. I strongly recommend against it, but there are people out there doing exactly the opposite, going, absolutely, go out and hurt people. Let's have a war because I want more money. So you join me, go have a war, kill a lot of people, and give me all your money. There's lots of people doing that. I will tell you, somebody desires to send me money, I'll take it. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, I don't like the idea of you killing people to do it. The other thing you got to remember is that we cannot, you do not go from a world the state it's in to a world that's better. We have a choice here. We can work together and turn this into paradise, or work together and turn this into hell on earth. Your guys' call. Myself, already been to hell. That was fun. Not. By the way, hell is real. The river Styx, absolutely there. The hot tub's way too hot. Okay. But you're welcome to go and test it. Be my guest. Now, I can tell you this because you'll forget it when you die anyway. Okay. And that is, When you figure out you don't have to stay there, you're free to leave. You know, you got to remember, hell, the many of the spiritual paths decided that we're going to take this nasty place. We're going to, and you know, people say it's made up. Well, I'll tell you, a lot of different spiritual guidelines have come to the same description. So I can tell you from practical experience, it's real. Okay. But it's up to you whether you want to go there. Most of you will anyway. Rachel goes with born crippled, abused, have had cancer for the last 2 years, and still believe the universe is for me. It's for me, not against me. Absolutely fabulous, Rachel. Now, just a thought. Now, do not get me wrong. You know, when it comes to cancer, I do feel for you on that. You know, the neat part with cancer is people thought it was a new illness. Back in the age of dinosaurs, archaeologists and paleontologists have found cancer cells inside dinosaur bones. This is not a new illness. However, I will tell you this. What would you do, Rachel, if I told you cancer cells can be reprogrammed to become healing cells? Okay, that is done literally. Now, whatever you do, stay working with the doctors you're working with. If you like them and it's working for you, stay there. In the meantime, in conjunction with that, though, start seeing the cancer reducing and regenerating, and you literally focus on wherever it is. You literally see it and feel it regenerating. Okay. You know, and turning into healthy cells. Just a kind of a necessary little issue. Oh, I will get to that in 10 seconds there, Joe. As a matter of fact, not quite. Orbs, we are Monday, as in, where are we? Wait a minute. Nope, not Monday. Where are we here? We are on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Species will be Friday. Friday? Yeah. Joe, in answer to your question, orbs in 4 days? 5 days? I don't know what today is. I think today's Monday, isn't it? Yep. Okay. So to be more specific, the 12th. Okay. Christine, like we're talking the 12th of July here, Joe. Christine is asking, do you think it's okay that I keep to myself in life? I don't feel like being social and protective of my energy and safety. I'm happy with it. The answer there, absolutely, Christine. This lifetime, if you decide to stay on your own, to basically keep to yourself, and you're content with it, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this one out to you, Rachel. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I will put this out to you. And this is literally to everybody. I have decided to go back into the active healing circle. Okay, as in, I am personally an accelerated healer. Okay, I have turned cancer around in other patients. Or more to the point, I reminded their body how to. This said, now I think you're down, I don't know where you are in all fairness, but if you're ever up this way, up in the Cologne area, in BC, absolutely check me, look me up. Or if I end up down there, if I'm coming down for an event, down to wherever you are, I will absolutely I'm going actively back into hands-on healing. I don't do a lot of the distance stuff. There's a lot of reasons for that. But hands-on, I absolutely will. Okay. Just something to be aware of. Whoops. Yeah. I think I just got to that one about the staying on their own. But thank you very much, Ellie. Do appreciate that. Oh, the nice part there, Eternity. How you doing? I don't think I saw you come in earlier. This is my solution. This is my solution to overheating. Got a nice little fan, works like a charm, and cold water. You're more than welcome there, Rachel. I very seriously looked at walking away from all of it. But literally the encouragement that I've received from everybody in this room, and so many from outside this room, has said very clearly, I've got to keep working in this field. I'm not ready to let it go. Lily Pond, how you doing? Glad you could join us. What do we got? Yeah, Simon goes, my dad went 8 years with pancreatic. It ain't over till it's over. Absolutely. The funny thing is, my former father-in-law was supposed to be dead overnight. We ended up, because of the fact that I went to work on him. Okay, and rest assured, it does not work if the person doesn't want to heal. But I did a little bit of work on him. He lasted 17 years and then ended up dying of old age. Can't imagine why that happened. What do we got going on here? I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. When we're looking at spirituality, now, like I said, I remember talking to a spiritual leader one day, and I asked him, let me ask you something. I said, if I dress up in the appropriate garments, and I go into a temple or into a church or into a holy place, and I put my hands above somebody, and I talk out loud, and I start praying to a God of one form or another, right? Is that okay? And he goes, that's absolutely fine. I said, what if that same person on the doorstep of the same temple or the same home sits down, there's a person that's really ill there, they put their hands over them, they don't say anything out loud, they think the words in their own mind and help this person heal. Is that okay? And the guy turns around, looks at me and goes, that's sacrilege. I looked at him, same person, same words, same thought line, same intent. And you're going to worry about the physical location. I'm here to tell you, people, the physical location of your acts of charity, of your acts of kindness, will not deter from them. The fact of the matter is, we are all capable of the above. Thank you so much, Ellie. The thing is, from here on out, it is absolutely necessary, okay, especially when we look at the state the world's in. It is absolutely necessary that we all start pushing the limits in order to make this a better world for virtually everybody. And for those of you that can't get into the room right now, all it requires is when you do get back in here, just follow the rules at the top of the chat room. Okay? You simply have to follow the rules. In here, and I'm blunt about it and call it sacrilegious, but now understand, I believe wholeheartedly in God. I believe wholeheartedly in Christ. Not everybody does, and that's okay. But with that reference in mind, in this chat room, I'm God. In this chat room, Storm is God's eye. If he's popping out, it's because you weren't listening. It's that simple. Not because you had your own opinion. Okay? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I ran a show years ago. I had a well-placed member of the Christian church and a well-placed member of the same Church of Satan on the same show. In less than an hour, I had them agreeing with each other. And boy, did I have my eyes open on that day. I do not know everything. Okay, I literally know barely enough to know I don't know enough. But what I do know, I'm not about to tell you I don't know. I'll just tell you if you don't believe me, that's okay. Because I'm not here to prove it. I will tell you, however, if a burner is red, putting your hand on it is a bad idea. I learned this the hot way. Okay, I'll tell you as well, much as that's painful, in my opinion, putting ketchup and ice cream putting ketchup on ice cream is a bad idea. Won't kill you, won't do any harm, not enjoyable in my eyes. Maybe you'll like it. I know my cousin used to. This stream is so everybody can feel welcome, not so anybody can come in and go, I'm going to try and make this all about this one aspect. You know, sometimes we get sidetracked or we get hyper-focused. You know, we had an opportunity the other day to look at alcoholism and addiction in a very direct fashion. Okay? And the reason I did that was because it affects so many people from so many walks of life. Okay? This is why I went that route. It just simply opened the door. Now, the neat part about it, and again, we are going to look, where are we here? That is, Friday, the 12th of July. As in 4 days, guys, we will be looking at orbs. Okay, we'll be looking at the different types, the different hierarchies, what they're up to, that sort of thing. Okay, very important. That's what we're starting with. By the way, just a reminder, this week we're dealing with spirituality. And the way I've got set up for the moment is once every third week. Like it'll be this week spirituality. Next week we'll be dealing with aliens and various different aspects. Then we'll deal with a week with self-help. After that, we go back to spirituality. Now, we may move things around a little from time to time. This is not written in stone. This is paper, people. Okay. So, that's what we're up to from that end. Now, again, if you've got a topic, well, yeah. Simon goes, I heard God's Storm voice earlier. Wouldn't mess with him. No, and the thing is, guys, I literally, when Storm stepped up, when Storm in LA, I had my heart attack. And that was when Storm in LA went, nope, this isn't going to happen anymore. When I made the comment that their faith in what I'm doing is one of the key factors that keeps me focused on coming here. Your guys' support is incredible. I mean, I've seen things where we had a troll come in one day, and he made it very blatant. He walked into the room, this would be about a year ago, walks into the room. We had about 16, 18 people in the room. And this guy comes in. There was a lot of cross chatter, which I don't mind in here. Okay. This guy comes in, and he goes, what a bunch of trolls. I kid you not, half the room jumped on this guy and told him to get out before I had any chance to say anything. This is the kind of support that community support results in. This is what we are about. This is what we are aiming at spreading out to the world around us. Now, I'm in Canada. We've got people here. Really? We've got people here in the room from the States, from Australia. We've had them from the Philippines and from France. I know we've got somebody here from England. Okay. And with that in mind, we are a global community. This is a microcosm of what we can have. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful? I know it would be in my eyes to have this kind of support all over the world. Oh, there we go. LA's gone. We've got somebody on New Zealand as well. You know, so we are. I love it when I told Storm, or not Storm, told Joe Stewart one day he was in the room, told everybody, I said, I intend on going global. And Joe comes up and goes, I'm already here. I'm already global. You're already global. I'm like, okay, I can work with it. Because everybody, yeah, Storm goes, if anyone had gotten hold of that guy in the flesh, they'd be looking for pieces around the world. Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal. Now, don't get me wrong. I am very much a pacifist. This is why I've got people around me that can deal with it. On a slightly twisted side note, when you're looking at Venusians, they are pacifists. They don't have a clue how to fight. They barely have a clue how to lose their temper. Martokians, on the other hand, have an agreement with them. They've got a contract. Yeah, Storm says he's a pacifist. I'm not. I absolutely am. I am way more afraid of my own temper than I am anybody else's. But I figure I'm not here to fight. And no, I am not, there's a saying that goes, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Got news for you. Not really my bag. And we're not going to go that way. We're not going to go into that. The fact of the matter is, I feel everybody is equally important. It's just some people are here to be nice. Some people are here to be not nice, but not nice, and being nice is necessary. One of the things we have to remember is it takes all kinds of people to make this world better. Okay. All of us are going to be required. Yeah. LA goes, we won't be fighting anyone here. We've demonstrated that. Yeah. I will do my best. Like I've told people, if there's a question, I will do my best to answer it. But there's only so far we go. In case you hadn't noticed, that point was reached. Now, the nice part about this stream is not going anywhere. Now, when I look today, we were at 632 or 633. Okay. Thank you very much, LA. The numbers are not the big point, because you got to remember, if you look at physically, you see one mouse, there's 6 more that you don't see. In today's world, it can jump. We can have 600 here, and between you guys and your influence on the world out there, absolutely, we can be looking at thousands that are getting the message. This is what I desire to see happen, so that we can turn the tide of what's being propagated. It is time to put the differences behind us. I saw somebody post the other day on Facebook. He goes, there is not a single person in the United States that requires a gun that shoots 280 to 400 bullets a minute. Not one. Okay. Now, I'm not against guns, don't get me wrong. I've never seen a gun get up and walk and shoot somebody. But I am a firm believer that we have to respect each other. Okay. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay. And remember, energy out, energy in, meaning what you put out, that's what's coming back. I am absolutely asking for your guys' assistance to spread the word that we are here to make a positive difference, to change the tide of the way the world is running. Okay. It's that simple. Anybody, any walk of life. Okay. I actually had a member of the Crips come to me to help get his life turned around. I don't turn people around that are looking for help, turn people away. I turn people away that refuse to actually make their own effort. Now, that being said, they come back, I'll help. But we are under the 5-minute mark. That said, Friday we will be dealing with orbs. Tomorrow we're dealing with spirituality and the creative aspect of it. How to make it happen. Okay. But until then, I will be back. Okay, tomorrow, 4:30 until 6:30 PST. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, guys. Really appreciate it. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.